Listen, do you hear that sizzle? The last 2 decades of the 20th century have been recorded as the hottest yet in 400 years. According to Chris J. Cuomo in Climate Change, Vulnerability and Responsibility, the change in temperature and precipitation levels are shifting agricultural zones and habitats for wild and domestic species, negatively affecting biodiversity and creating challenges for food production. Now, while food might be an easy thing to come by for the culture that you live in, picture the negative effects global warming will have on food for the future. In fact, picture your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren struggling to get food to survive. What an awful thought that is. Today, I am here to discuss with you the negative impact that global warming has on sea levels, animal migration, as well as pollination. Now, to better understand the negative effect global warming has on sea levels, it's important to understand what it does. So with global warming, the environment starts to warm up. And an increase in environmental temperature causes the waters to warm up. And as water warms up, it expands. Now, this really might not seem like a big deal, but it is. Dustin J. Penn states that further SLR will inundate coastal areas and thus lead to an area lost in coastal regions. So what does this mean? This means that areas of land that are by water will start to get flooded, and anyone that inhabitates that area will have to move to higher ground or a different area. This then results in more individuals and species in one small area, causing an area to become crowded. Now, global warming just doesn't end there. It also negatively impacts animal migration. With animal migration and global warming causes the animals to start to migrate sooner. This means that animals are hibernating as long, and they're waking up earlier, as well as they're heading to their breeding ground sooner. And with earlier migration and earlier reproduction and breeding ground, it causes the offspring of those animals not to live, or in fact, those animals might not even be able to produce any offsprings. Also, with animal migration, animals are starting to head north to accommodate for the warmer weather. And this is causing animals to go into areas that they don't know and they aren't used to. So as a result of northern migration, noted by Karen Ton, he exclaims that as a result, species that can't adapt to urban or agricultural environments become isolated from their lines of retreat and cut off. So this means that the change in animal behavior sparked by global warming is causing animals to try to risk their lives to go to a colder area and make up for what's happening. And while they're risking their lives, they're increasing their chance of extinction. The final negative impact of global warming deals with pollination. As the ozone gets warmer, it's causing plants to blossom sooner. The problem with this is that when the plants are blossoming sooner, the insects haven't reached their migration period that matches up with the plant's blossom period. So now you don't have any insects to pollinate the flowers or the trees or the crops, and really nothing's happening with those plants. And this is a big deal because roughly 2/3 of plants that are used by humans are pollinated by insects. Actually, in fact, Victoria L. Scavin and Nicole E. Rafferty specifically state that almost 88% of angiosperms rely on animals for pollination services. So this means that in order for plants to keep being pollinated and be useful for humans, we're going to have to make up for that. And so farmers are trying to pollinate their own plants, which doesn't really happen and work well. And as a result, fewer crops are getting harvested and are good for use, which is causing food supply to go down, which is a very serious issue. As you can see, global warming is no small issue, but not everyone agrees with that point of view. Heavy consumers actually tend to think that the atmosphere is acceptable with getting a few degrees warmer, and they think that global warming is only an issue of the future. That is not true, however, because as stated previously, pollination is decreasing, which is leading to food decretion. And every species, every living thing needs food to survive. So while pollination is decreasing, so is our food supply, making global warming a serious issue of the here and now. In closing, global warming is a serious issue currently occurring. Sea levels are advancing, animal migration is changing, and pollination is declining, all because of an increase in the temperature. So next time you doubt the importance of global warming, think of how the food supply is decreasing, or how the animals are migrating and possibly becoming extinct, and how that can affect the future generations to come. The solution of the temperature surge of the atmosphere falls into your hands. So help protect the environment by eliminating things that cause global warming, such as greenhouse gases. You can do this through recycling more, or even reusing the same bags, or even just cutting down electricity. Without stabilization of temperatures, the Earth will become a place where all forms of life struggle to survive.